Hello and welcome to the Geary Cast, the Malaga fan podcast for all the Gearys out there. Malaga made it 7 draws out of 7 on the road this season with a well-earned point up at La Romareda on Sunday evening. It is now just 1 loss in the league for Malaga so far, and we are almost at the end of November. I imagine this was not on the cards for any Malaga psychics out there. But I tell you what, who is loving Malaga's season this time round? It's Luke Chambers. He's joining me to review this game. How are you doing, Luke?
I'm very well, Nick. Very cold. As you know better than anybody, the cold air, the snow, and the blizzards have hit the UK. But yeah, talking about Malaga is definitely going to warm us up. How are you?
Yeah, I think if we just think warm thoughts, that might help us enjoy the weather. Though I must say, you're currently wearing a t-shirt where you are in Doncaster, so you must have gone early with the heating. I'm in a fleece. I'm brunting it out. It's not going on until the 1st of December.
Yeah, unfortunately, the missus has just got home from work and she's demanded the heating on after a cold day. So who's one to argue?
Aye, exactly. Let's always keep that side of things happy moving forward. But like you say, we're going to talk about some Malaga football, talking about Costa del Sol football. It always gives us a bit of warmth in here, which is the main thing. So I suppose the first bit of news, there's not been a lot of news recently with Malaga, which I suppose is a good thing. Malaga's kids are still on the up. We seem to be talking about them every single week at the moment. Antonito, Isa Marino, Aaron Ochoa Maloney. The former two playing for Spain on the 19s, playing very well indeed. Antonito being sort of instrumental to how they work, Luke. But Aaron Ochoa Maloney is going to be the one that we're going to be talking about in this little segment because, dear God, did you see that goal?
I've seen it and I've watched it a couple of times. What a goal. And I cannot wait for this kid to do that kind of thing in La Rosaleda.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, do head over to our Twitter or to our Blue Sky as well. If you are one of the people that are exiting Elon Musk's platform, it's an absolute beauty. The way he takes it down, cuts on to his right foot, beats his man, and just bends it beyond the goalkeeper. The Moldovan commentator, which I may add, this was a goal for Ireland under 19s against Azerbaijan under 19s being played in a training complex in Moldova. I think I've got that right.
I mean, he's showing he can do it on the biggest stages against Azerbaijan under 18s in Moldova. It doesn't get any bigger than that. I think your tweet were perfect, Nick. He can do it on a warm Costa del Sol Saturday, and he can definitely do it on a wintry Tuesday in Moldova as well.
Yeah, I was going to say he's probably not used to those climes, but that's maybe the old Celtic in him that's doing him some favours and letting him score worldies on that kind of platform. But it's the kind of goal that drags attention, Luke. And obviously, we're saying we're wanting to see it some more, expect it some more at La Rosaleda. It's also got Spain keeping a little eye out for him because obviously we've got the Ochoa, we've got the Maloney, we've slammed them together. He's of Irish descent and Spanish born, so. You know, if you're Aaron at the minute, do you think maybe do I switch? Maybe do I go and play with Antonito and Izan in the Spain under 19s, or do you crack on with Ireland? Because let's be perfectly honest, and this isn't a slight against Ireland, the route to full-time senior caps was supposed to be the way to say it. With Ireland, maybe looks a little bit easier than the route to Spain at the moment.
Yeah, you've said it spot on, Nick, and without going into Irish descents too much and so on, Ireland's been very unlucky with the players who have played at youth level and then gone on to choose other nationalities. But as you say, we've got the Maloney, we've got the Ochoa. Come on, we love Spain. If somebody offered us a bit of dual nationality, what are we choosing? Viva España.
See, I'm looking at the other way, and I'm thinking he could be the heir to the Wessie crown, the Wes Hoolahan crown for Ireland, and be that little intricate number 10 who scores worldies. And
he could think like you say, the route to a successful, a longer international career, you'd imagine would be with Ireland for sure. There's gonna be British clubs and stuff looking at Aaron Ochoa Maloney very, very soon, I think. If he does make the move to Britain, then surely the Irish product's going to look absolutely fantastic for him. And I dare say he won't be a million mile off that first team in 2 years, 3 years, maybe.
Well, he's certainly on it, but food for thought maybe for young in there with his international future, seemingly abundant with options for him. So maybe speaking about youth, Luke, I can probably turn to you now to give us some information, some results about Atletico Malagueño this weekend. I know Matt went to watch them play in San Pedro, but also maybe some news about Malaga Femenino, please.
Yeah, so I'll start with Femenino as they carried on their great form, making it back-to-back wins against teams who are actually higher in the league. So this week they beat third place Elche 2-1 at the Ciudad Deportiva Fundación of Malaga City Football. So the girls came from behind once again. This time it was a goal from Yesenia and a winning goal from Andrea Herrero. And this win lifts them up to 7th in the league. And as you mentioned a minute ago, Nick, Atletico Malagueño played, and they played in San Pedro against Atletico Marbella. They won 2-1. That man Chupete, who I'm sure will get a little mention in this pod at some point. Chupete scored again. He scored the first goal of the game. This result leaves Malagueño top of the league, clear 3 points of Torre del Mar. Our man Matt Harrison was at the game. We were very impressed with the performance of Ariaza, who has been training with the first team over the last couple of weeks. And of course, that man Chupete, who he described as an absolute predator and also a proper striker. As if Malaga need a proper striker right now.
Yeah, they're definitely calling for it, aren't we? And I imagine we'll talk about strikers in the very near future. And it seemed like Matt was well taken by both players that you mentioned there as well, Luke. So maybe they can also start to challenge that first team moving forward, especially as we start to hit the winter time and midway through the season. So to just wrap everything up, we'll always bring you the results from around the grounds in the Spanish Segunda. As it's really starting to take shape now as well. Malaga very much within the hunt of the playoffs, but also a certain team starting to maybe run away with the league at the moment. So let's look for the start of the weekend. It was on Saturday. Eibar beating Racing Club de Ferrol 2-0. Eldense with a great result at home against Albacete 2-0. The result for Saturday for me was this one, though. Mirandés, the team I think we all copped for relegation this season, given their pre-season that they had, beating Castellón 3-1 away on Saturday afternoon. Racing Santander continued their form, beating Burgos 2-0. And then we also had Levante and Elche with the draw, and Sporting Gijon against Granada. It finished 2-1 to Granada. I know, fan of the pod, Aidan was at El Molilon for that, and I bet he absolutely loved that result up in the north of Spain. Though I hope he took a coat because it was quite cold this weekend. Into Sunday, Real Oviedo carry on with their march towards the top, beating Tenerife 3-1. Cadiz in the Andalusian derby, beating Cordoba 2-0. Cartagena with a massive win against Huesca at home, beating them by 1-0. Almeria putting Depor to the sword 2-1 at home. And then obviously rounding up the weekend, it was Real Zaragoza 0 and Malaga 0 as well. Any results out of there that you were like the look of, Luke? Or
yeah, I mean the obvious, the Mirandés is a huge result away in Castellón, but for me, you've got Granada winning at Sporting. That is a very, very big result for Granada. Sporting have been absolute fire as of late, and even for Cadiz in the long distance Andalusian derby, shall we say, is that like pretty much as far as it can get? But I believe is that Cadiz's first win at home, or they haven't won many at home, put it that way. So
no.
Cadiz being one of them teams in the league who I do expect to kick on at some point. But yeah, as you said, Nick, the league is really starting to shape up, and there's a hell of a lot of surprises in this league so far.
There is, and I'm sure we'll speak later in the week about Real Racing de Santander, because they are just flying at the minute, and they are the next visitors to La Rosaleda on Saturday, a game that you'll be at as well, Luke. So, but we're going to have a lovely preview of that later on in the week available for you guys. So let's get talking about that game at La Romareda on Sunday evening. We had the resplendent gift of being able to watch it on Premier Sports League on actual proper fucking telly. It was good, wasn't it?
It makes hell of a difference. I mean, the commentary from the telly is a bit lackluster from the American South American geezer who I can't remember what he says, but he basically called Sergio Pellicer like Pellico or something like that. Just Sergio Pellicer. Yeah, I'm not saying we're Latin perfect or anything like that, but come on, man. But yeah, fantastic, very very good, and it made a change from sitting and watching it on his phone.
Yeah, I think I said as much as well, saying it was delightful, and that's the extent I went to. Delightful to be able to watch it on a normal telly in 4K without being on a little tiny screen, watching it on dial-up levels of connection on a certain betting website. But yeah, the commentator was just, I don't know, it was everything. It wasn't just his pronunciations; it was the fact he clearly didn't know what he was talking about, and he had that. And this is coming from me as well. So again, I can see the irony in this, but that really nasally voice.
Yeah,
I was just like going, we should have done a live stream. We could have beaten him on that one.
It was maybe a bit like a horse racing commentator or something like that. But going back to the last time we were in Segunda, I know Carl Smith and Paul Henan and Keith and the guys will remember the rejection guy. So basically, for anybody who can't remember them, every time the ball went in the box, whether it were a header or a clearance by foot, the commentator and rejected. And it's just not Spanish football, is it? It's not English football. It's not Spanish football, definitely.
It's not. We need to get ourselves a job with Premier Sports. Maybe we can write into them on that one and give them some proper Spanish pronunciations with a northern twist. But as we mentioned, Luke, we were away at Romareda, an iconic ground in Spanish football. Those big goals, which we I had a bit of grief on them, actually, because I sent a picture to my mates and I said, look at them nets, aren't they beautiful? And I got a lot of people saying, no, they're not great. They're too big. And I was like, but you don't get it. You don't understand the heritage of those goals. But obviously, it's a stadium that's been or is in the running for the 2030 World Cup. And they're obviously making some amendments to it. Was it strange to see La Romareda with that giant canvas at the back of the stand and a construction site just knocking behind the goal? It was a bit Blackpool in the 2000s, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it was. It kind of was. But I also think it's quite cool when this kind of thing's happening at a ground. Going back to my LMA manager days when you used to build a ground and then you could see the construction work going off. I don't know, but it's obvious why they're doing it. Like you said, because of the World Cup bid. Interestingly, we're yet to find out what and when is going to happen with the Malaguistas and Malaga when La Rosaleda books its ideas up for its makeover.
Yeah, it kind of makes it a bit touchy now. When you see other clubs are making those, maybe thinking, why aren't we doing the same thing? But
I think the latest link I've seen is that there's every chance that we could end up playing in Granada. And I can't see that going down very well with the Malaga fans, surely.
No, definitely not going out your way over an hour to watch the game. But what will be on that front. Starting 11 wise, Luke. We started with pretty much the same team that beat Cartagena the week before, with the changes of Rocco coming in for Dione up front and Victor Garcia starting at left back over Dani Sanchez. Were you happy with that lineup? Was it what you expected, or were you surprised by the inclusion of a certain number 9?
I was happy with the team. Maybe a little bit harsh on Dani Sanchez after his recent performance. The fact that our number 9 started, Rocco Baturina, Dione deserved to get, I'm not going to say dropped, because not every player gets dropped because they're out of the team, but I don't think Dione's recent performance has warranted starting. So I've got no issues with Dione going on the bench. The goal in Estepona for Rocco maybe jumped him ahead of Castel, who got sent off in that game, of course. But it doesn't exactly fill you with confidence when you've got a centre forward like Rocco Baturina leading the line for you. I found it a little bit negative. I could see why he started, maybe a bit of a battering ram up front to hold the ball up. But I'm yet to see Rocco do this for us in a Malaga shirt.
Yeah, we were speaking during the game, weren't we? And we said, if you take everything into isolation, you look at that spine of the team, Herrero in goal, your partnership, especially of Monte and I know how I've got a great understanding, Molina, Luismi, Larubia even as a 10, and you just like, that striker or that striking role is really letting us down at the moment, because you can't rely on any three of them to be able to put in a 8 out of 10 performance, maybe from Dione from time to time. But again, I don't think he looked like he was going to be the one that could stretch that defense. Liam came on the podcast last week and told us that, defensively, they're really good at going forward, but they have been able to be got at at the back sometimes, especially with the absence of some key players. So it was strange for me to see Rocco come in, though. And as we've all said, we would love to see Geppetto.
I think it was yourself and Chris who said the previous week, Nick, just regarding, I know we're looking back into the past and so on, but that defence and that midfield is as strong as we get. Yeah, you'd like to put Ramon in there, but we've not had Ramon for a year, so let's forget about Ramon for now. If you
I don't think Ramon gets in there, to be perfectly honest with you. If he's competing with Molina and Luismi at the minute, he doesn't get in.
But regarding that 11, yeah, swap and change Lebete maybe. But if you put Roberto as that number 9 in that 11, I think you and Chris said it the other week, we'd be well up there. Because all we are missing right now is a goal scorer. If we had somebody to put that ball in there defensively, we're very, very good at the moment. We have been for a hell of a long time, really. If we just could get that number 9, and whether that's available in January or not, I don't know. But we really need it just to push on that a little bit more.
It's going to be top of the shopping list in January for me. But back to the game, I suppose within the first 10 minutes, there wasn't an awful lot going on. It kind of felt like each team was feeling each other out a little bit. There was a couple of opportunities where Zaragoza sort of came forward a little bit, which you would expect with me in the home team. But did you see the writing on the wall? Is probably what I'm going to ask you right now, Luke. In the first 10 minutes, we kind of looked at this and went, this has got draw written all over it, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, we're the draw specialists. Zaragoza had their first 4 minutes worth of play, I think it was. And then what Málaga really did well were after 5 minutes, were just seemed to completely shut the atmosphere down. They slowed the ball down. Just, you know yourself, as an away team, you're there to kill the game. Just get hold of the ball and knock it around a bit. And Málaga slowly grew into the game after a half-decent start from Zaragoza.
Yeah, and certainly on the counter, I thought we were quite effective, you know, and really stretching the game, going from side to side. I thought we were brilliant at, and it almost paid off when Larrubia sort of broke down that right hand side. Did he went 1-on-1 with his man, beat the left back, beat the other centre back, and got his shot away. And it's in those kind of situations where I was looking at a few of the goals that were scored in La Liga the weekend before. And, you know, they see a lot of players that like to cut in from the sides and just beat a couple of men and bury it past the goalkeeper. Larrubia this time he kind of didn't commit to the strike, did he? He kind of tried to place it at the near post rather than just putting his fucking foot through it. How big of a chance was that really to be able to come away with a win from La Romareda? Because chances were few and far between in the end, weren't they?
Yeah, and the matter of this chance is he'd done the hard work. Fantastic touch from, I mean, look, this would have been one of the goals of the season for me. This is old school football. Herrero catches the ball and then route one with a vision. It was a perfect pass to Larrubia. He sent his fullback for a hot dog. I don't think he was allowed back in the stand after that. Took another man on, and then, like you were saying, it just kind of scuffed it a little bit. A decent save from the goalkeeper, but maybe if he'd gone to curl it in that far corner. I mean, you do see finishes like this now where they do aim for that near stick, but I think the chance was definitely there, and he deserved it because he'd done fantastically leading up to it.
Oh, absolutely, and like you say, take nothing away from the save from the goalkeeper because he did really well to get it down from there. But you just think you've done the hard bit now. Just put your bloody laces through it and just give the keeper something to really do. And I think it's a bit like that with football now. It's kind of like they prefer to do the cute finish rather than the bloody pile driver.
Exactly. The nice thing about this move as well, though, Nick, is David Larrubia, the confidence. You can see he's playing with pure confidence at the moment. We've seen many a times he would have received that ball, held the ball up, and then just rolled it back to say Manu. The confidence was running through the player at the moment to get that ball and think to his man, right, I'm taking you on and I'm gonna win us something, whether it be a goal or a corner.
Yeah, definitely. So that was kind of like the big chance of the first half, but it was not a bigger talking point than the next one, Luke. Just after half an hour, a red card for Malaga reduced to 10 men. Kevin, who, you know, I thought did well to get hold of the ball to begin with, but it was just maybe a little bit too far away from him. Sent off for a 2-footed challenge. Straight red card this was, so obviously going to be serving a lengthy ban. It did go to VAR, and they did have a look at it. The referee deciding to keep with his on-field decision. I think we're all unanimous in this. It is a very harsh red, isn't it? Really harsh.
Yeah, it really is after watching the replay, and that is exactly why the VAR called the referee over. Initially, I get it. I get why he sent him off. Referees like it when a player's running at pace and he does that touch, which is just a little bit too far. On first viewing, it did look a bit erratic. He wasn't high, but he went in at pace. Then you look at the replay, and you can clearly see that both players bottled it. Really, did they? They were both in there and both pulled away. It's just, I'm not being funny. Without being all technical, these pitches these days are piss wet through. If you're sliding, you're gonna bang into one another. And I thought we were gonna have a bit of luck when he got called over to VAR, but obviously the referee stuck with his own decision.
The question I'd like to get answered is if Kevin had reached the ball first, because there was milliseconds in it as far as the I think it was Calera, wasn't it, who maybe got to the ball, but if Kevin had beaten him to that ball and just towed it away or something, would Calera have also got a red card? I don't think he would have, because it's just that, like you say, it's the intensity in which Kevin went in, the pace that he went in, and sort of that panic that he had about, not losing possession. But for me, this should be nowhere near a red card, and should hopefully it gets overturned. And a lot of people share our sentiment. We've had people who aren't Malaga fans sharing that sentiment as well. But
they have appealed for it, Nick. So if that is granted, which I imagine we're going to know in next 24 hours, surely, they're hoping that it can actually be available for wrestling at the weekend. Did you see the VAR conversation at all? One of the guys in my Pena chat, they put it. So the VAR guys say, obviously the translation is not always perfect. However, it says assess the seriousness of the play. The point of impact, you decide on that. So he's saying basically, look, I don't really think it's dangerous. What do you think? So then Lax Franco, the referee, says, I see that he's going with excessive force. I maintain the impulsion of my decision. So the ref were obviously staying very stubborn. And look, if he thought it red, then fair play to him. I wish a couple more referees would stick to what they do. But nah, it's not a red card in a million years.
Well, we say, he stuck to his things, and fair enough. But I suppose this is a nice point to make before we speak about it further, or if we do even speak about it further. He was a shit referee, wasn't he? Like, as far as refs were concerned, Bryce, he was bad.
Personally think he was the worst referee we've had all season. I mean, we've seen referees who want to be the star of the show, and 10 minutes in, he's chucking yellow cards at David Onubia for opening his mouth. Come on.
Yeah. Can't happy
football. Just pull him to one side and say, keep it quiet. Even get Don Alfonso involved if you need to. Just tell him to calm down a little bit. But yeah, but the inconsistency, Nick, and without being moany and so on, whilst I was doing the commentary on Twitter, they had a player called Malcolm Adez, I think he was called. So he got yellow carded 5 minutes after David Lubia. And then he made 4 or 5 consecutive fouls throughout the half. He then got brought off at half time. And you're thinking, come on, where is the consistency? He could very easily level that up. And I'm not saying he had to do that, but if a player on a yellow card's making a further 4 fouls, come on.
Yeah, it is that inconsistency which can drive you mad, really, can't it? And really frustrates a team, especially teams that are away from home. That tend to be the case. But we had to deal with it. We had to take our medicine, and we saw out the half with 10 men. Again, I didn't really feel that Zaragoza took advantage of that. I thought we performed pretty well with 10 men for the remainder of the first half. Sorry, and I thought we did quite well to get to half time.
Yeah, I thought that they adjusted to the new system very quickly. I thought Lebete in particular, and David Rubio were doing a fantastic job in taking us up the field, whether that were drawing a foul or just I'm not saying time waste, just keeping hold of the ball, allowing Luismi, Manu to go up with him. But yeah, I thought we did very well. I thought Luismi were really, really good in there.
Yeah, he really ticked over quite lovely as well throughout this entire game, which is always great to see. But we did get to half time, so it remained 0-0. And Sergio Pellicer decided to ring the changes to try and do something for the second half. It was Rocco who came off. Again, I think we expected that, and it's never a good look, especially as a striker if you're getting hooked at half time. And then Victor Garcia came off for Danny Sanchez as well, which I think was maybe more related to him getting a bit of a knock and a card. So, what what do we think of Rocco then in that first half? Again, did he enamor you? Did he show you exactly what he needed to do to be Malaga's number 9?
No, he's not the man to lead the front line when you're down to 10. He should be. He's a big unit, but he just doesn't seem to hold the ball up. He's not very fast at all, or yet we're yet to see that. I don't know. He's obviously, I'd imagine his confidence is very low. The Malaga move's not gone to plan so far, but yeah, we just, I think bringing Castell on definitely offered us a bit more pace, I'd say. Although I'm still not convinced on Castell. I don't really know what he brings to the lineup so far.
No, like I say, I've got a lot of time for Castell, but I also am in agreement with you. I don't know what he does. Would probably be the interesting way of doing it, because again, he didn't really come on and change the game for Malaga. He didn't really offer anything in terms of more than what Rocco would have done. Like I say, maybe just a bit more mobility, but
he just did a job. He had to do a job, just work basically.
Yeah. So, but and to be fair, in this second half as well, there wasn't too much to sing or dance about, if we're being perfectly honest, are we? I think, there was a couple of chances for Malaga just before the hour mark, but it was also same for Real Zaragoza as well. But it wasn't until the 70th minute, Luke, where, time and time again, this man comes to our aid. It's the Saint, San Alfonso Herrero, who I noted as well that I thought we invented this. I thought we were the originators of San Alfonso Herrero, and then I saw La Liga High Promotion tweet that out just after we had tweeted it out as well. I was like, have we just been plagiarized? But apparently in Spain, he's known as a Saint for a long time, so we can't really claim.
I saw the chat, Nick, and I know you got a bit giddy with that one, thinking we've made it. But I do remember Matt saying a couple of weeks ago that the locals have kind of jumped on it. I think you tweeted it at the time, Nick. It's more expected of him these days than not. The standards what he sets for himself. I honestly have never seen a goalkeeper like this in my life, and the confidence he gives you as a fan, and I imagine for all them players is crazy.
That's it as well, and then the profile that he makes for himself is obviously a shot which, comes in from about 6 yards out, and he just gets down, gets his knee onto it, and you're just like, that's just the Don doing what he does. You know what I mean? He's don't worry about it. So I'm just not shocked anymore, but which is probably a thing more than anything, because you kind of like that spectacular, that fucking hell, look what he's just done. Now it's just like, oh, did you see what he did? Yeah, I've seen it. So
that's done.
he's just doing his thing. Yeah, all right, business. That's fine. I thought defensively though, Luke, in this game, despite the fact we're a man down, I tell you what, every single man to a piece in that back four, and obviously the Don, brilliant in this match. I thought Einar in particular was excellent at centre half, dealing with some really talented strikers as well. Do you have any kind words you'd like to share about that Monte and Einar partnership? It's really forcing itself together in a minute, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's been coming for the last 12 months at least. I know Sergio's swapped and changed his defence around, whether that's due to injuries or anything. I like Alex Pastor, but for me, you need two centre halves to play week in, week out when fit. And for me, I'll be perfectly honest, I think this was Einar's best game for us. I thought he was absolute man mountain. As you said, Nick, the defense for me was a perfect performance. They limited Zaragoza, a third in the league, Zaragoza. They limited them to scraps. They dominated in the air. They're organised, just look confident. And again, like we just mentioned about the confidence, what Don Alfonso Herrero brings you, maybe that runs through the team. The defense know that they've got that guy behind us. They know that they've got like a Luismi in front of him. Just a fantastic defensive performance. However, we wasn't fully under the cosh. I don't want this to sound like Zaragoza all over us. We just dealt with everything what we put in front.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. We sort of just like mopped up, really, didn't we? Because I think, to be fair, we wouldn't be amiss to say that, Real Zaragoza did start to apply pressure. The further we got into the second half and the more substitutions we made, I need to make a note of this on the podcast. Francho Serrano, the number 14 for Real Zaragoza. I looked at him and I went, it's nice that Real Zaragoza have also got like a bit of an aging midfield maestro in there. Looked at his bio on B Soccer and he's 23 years old. I was like, what, 23-year-old man plays with pulled down socks and a shirt tucked into his shorts, short sleeve as well, in northern Spain in November. I just thought, he looks like he's turned out for Masters football here.
Do you
And
think
he was playing like
you think he had the fag packet and as a shin pad?
every single 90s footballer cliche I could apply to Franco Serrano. But on top of that, he delivered the goods because he was brilliant for them, sort of orchestrating that midfield. Anytime the ball came out of Malaga's 18-yard box, he was there to snatch it from the hands of Molina and Luismi if he could do. He looked like a proper, really good footballer. And, I always try and take time to admire at least one player from an opposing team when I'm watching Malaga play. But I tell you what, if he was in that midfield ahead of Luismi and Molina, I'd be very happy with that.
Well, to be honest, Nick, I was waiting to give you a bollocking at the time as I were on the commentary because you pointed out this Serrano fella, and I dare say before I never really noticed him other than the appearance. Then after that, I don't know if you noticed, but for the next 10 minutes, it was basically shoot on sight from Serrano.
Yeah.
Shocking at shooting. Don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking he's jinxed. I know he's jinxed it, so I was just thinking, no.
Cursed it. But yeah, and again, you see, I think he's someone who I'll now keep my eye on a little bit more in the wider Segunda picture. So, we get to full time, 0-0. We celebrate like it's a victory, to be fair, because La Romareda is a hard place to go. Real Zaragoza are, a team that is up there this season, performing, very, very well. We were obviously down to 10 men. Great performance on the night, but do you think Zaragoza will be remiss that they didn't win this game, or at least try to win the game?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I say, I think Zaragoza were third in the league before this. They didn't look like a third in the league kind of team to me. They rarely troubled us, other than the save what we mentioned from Alfonso Herrero. I also just think that the confidence of Malaga just battered them down a little bit. They knew that Malaga were defending so structured. They half ran out of ideas. I think in the last 10 minutes, they were trying to shoot on sight a little bit more. They weren't really breaking Malaga down. And for me, players like Romani who come on, that's the best game I've seen Romani have. Without doing anything spectacular, his job was to take us up the field when he can. And I felt he did to relieve the pressure. Just a great Malaga performance for me, really well.
It was, and I think with Malaga as well, I think out of the promoted sides, Castellón will probably get the headlines because it's, Castellón, they're in the playoffs and they've taken some pretty decent results and things like that, but they've been up and down with their results. Like you say, losing at home 3-1 to Mirandés, another playoff contender, but, it's not to be expected. We drew, I think we drew with them at home, if I remember rightly, didn't we? Was it 1-1?
Yeah.
But Malaga just seem to be going about their business at the minute, picking up draws away, winning games at home. And it's kind of the old Arsene Wenger formula, isn't it? As long as you win your games at home and you draw your games away, you're going to be in the promotion picture. And I say the P word out there quite casually. But at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I know Racing Santander are out on a limb at the minute, 10 points clear a second, but we're only like 3 or 4 points off automatic promotion at the minute. Yeah, we're down in, I think, 8th or 9th or something like that, or 7th. We're just getting on with it, aren't we, Luke? This is quite unheard of, really.
We're not really getting spoken about with too much positivity for a team who's nearly made it to December, having lost one game. Our good friends over at Segunda Podcast are not getting excited about Malaga, shall we say. I personally don't think we've played great as of yet in terms of attacking. We're not scoring many goals, but if you wanted to dig deep into our results and you look at the actual goals, what we conceded earlier on in the season, i.e. Racing de Ferrol away, we were giving a couple of goals away very cheaply. And if we could have added maybe 5 points onto what we've got, and then you look at that league table and think, Jesus Christ, Malaga.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. I've just had to look at the league table just to make sure I'm talking facts rather than absolute guessing bollocks, which I tend to do a lot on this podcast. But Malaga down in 10th now, actually, to correct myself, 21 points. And it's Real Oviedo who are in second, 5 points clear of us at the moment. But Malaga do have a game in hand on them as well. That's the other side to think of. We've got Levante coming up midweek next week. It's kind of we're in the mix. Do you know what I mean? We're all in the mix at the minute. It's quite a close knit thing apart from Santander. So
you've got to look at the places where we've been away as well, Nick. We've been to Granada. We've been to Cadiz. Big games for ourselves. We've been to Cordoba. We've been to Romareda. We've been to some of the toughest places in Segunda. And we're taking points. We are the point machine. We had a conversation, all of us at the Geary Cast, and we've said it before with all the lads who got to watch the game. We would take a point every day of the week away from home. And if we can win our games in La Rosaleda, we won't be far away.
No, definitely. And just looking at further some of these stats, it's as we've said, the only thing that does concern us about this. Imagine where we would be with a goal scorer. Because I look at, say, for example, don't worry, this is probably not the best one to pick, but Almeria, they've scored 25 goals so far this season. Yeah, they've conceded 24, but they've scored 25. The only two sides, Luke, that have scored less or the same as Malaga. Do you want to venture a guess at who they might be?
I would go with Mirandés.
No, Mirandés with 16 goals. That's 4 more than Malaga.
Ferrol and Burgos, maybe.
Ferrol, you are correct. Ferrol have only scored 9 this season, but Burgos have scored 1 more goal than Malaga on there. I'll put you out your misery. The other two are the other bottom two sides. It is Tenerife, who have scored 12, the same as us, and Cartagena, who have scored 11. So, like you say, you look at that goals for column, and it very much puts us in sort of like within the relegation space teams. If it wasn't for Don Alfonso Herrera in our defence, we could
like
be.
You're saying, Nick, if you look at the next column, that shows why we're doing good. What we think, we've got the best defensive record in the league.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's definitely got to be the part that does get addressed in January because, there's some teams in and around that playoff spot which are well within the 20 goals for this season, which, for a team that is fighting for promotion, you would expect by November. So, plenty to think about. So I suppose before we depart and I send you on your way to Malaga this weekend, I'm very jealous you're going to get some sunshine. I'll ask you, Luke, for your chumbo for this game.
Right, so I don't think Manu had a very good game at all. As I stated in the chat, his delivery were poor for his standards, and again, that may actually be because of how good of a season he has. He's been brilliant this season, but I can't not go with Rocco. Unfortunately, it just didn't work for him again, and getting dragged at half time is not going to do his confidence any good. But yeah, it's Rocco Batarina.
Yeah, I was also going to give a bit of a dishonourable mention to Manu because I think he didn't play at the same standard that he's played a lot this season. Castel, when he came on as well, I know he only got 45 minutes, but he, again, didn't really add anything. But my chumbo is going to be Rocco as well, Luke. It's just, give me a go. Do you know what I mean?
It's just not working.
I'll put more effort in up front than he does at the minute. So it's just not ticking along for him. Biznaga, I probably sense might be a little bit harder for us, but I suppose I'll ask you for some honourable mentions as well, Luke.
Yeah, very, very tough one. This one, mate. All the defence, like we spoke about, were absolutely fantastic. Einar, brilliant. La Rubia and Lebete are good games. Lebete's best game in a Malaga shirt for me. We finally saw a little bit of what he's about. Tricky little player. The obvious is for Don Alfonso Herrera, who weren't single-handedly earned his own point. He was fantastic, and he was the fans' Biznaga with 64% of the votes. But I'm going to go a bit rogue, and I'm going with Luismi. I just think he's a manager's dream, the kind of player what he is. Breaks up plays, a player what we've needed for so long. I imagine he doesn't stop talking throughout that game. A great pro. And yeah, I thought he was fantastic tonight. So it's Luismi.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on a lot of those, Luke. Honourable mentions for Herrera, for La Rubia, and for Luismi as well. But for me, I'm going to go with Einar Galilea, as he kept calling it on the commentary. I think he was just absolutely solid. And also mentions Damonte as well, because I thought he was also very good. But I think maybe the thing that shaded him just a little bit was that little header past Herrera, which he had to recover quite quickly for in the first half, if I remember rightly. But so I'm going to go with that.
You could push it to the right back, Nick. I very nearly gave it to Hakeem. I thought Hakeem had a great game as well.
Yeah, Hakeem was excellent too, down that right-hand side. And I think, like I say, good performances all around away on the road at La Romareda. So, that should see us out for this episode. Remember, you can go and follow us on all sorts of stuff now, like I say, on your usual social medias. But as I mentioned before, we've also got a Blue Sky because we're now there. But also, if you go and subscribe to us on YouTube, that always helps if you prefer to watch the podcast rather than listen to them. You can see Luke this evening in a bit of a disco room I've been watching. I don't know whether it's a light bulb or a television. I'm not too sure.
I've tried to sort it.
And also as well, if you do go into your podcast provider, give us a 5-star review. It does help us climb those charts and get a bit of recognition for that. But I suppose, Luke, I'll wish you on your way. Enjoy yourself in Malaga this weekend as Malaga take on Racing Santander.
Thank you very much, mate. I'll apologise in advance to anybody who does follow me on social media. I know I get a bit giddy when I'm over there. I just love it that much. There will be quite a bit of content. But yeah, everybody just keep positive, keep riding this wave. It's a good time for Femenino, Malagueño, and Malaga, of course. So we're Vamos Malaga and hasta luego, Nick.
Absolutely. And like I say, we will have a preview show later on this week where Mr. Matt Harrison returns and myself and maybe Chris Marquez as well. We shall decide later on. But with a full preview as the league leaders, the runaway league leaders, Racing Santander, visit La Rosaleda this Saturday. So come and join us then. I've been your host, Nick Bell. It's been an absolute pleasure once again to talk to you all at home. Thank you so much for listening, and we shall see you again soon. And as always, Vamos Malaga.